There's been a focus on mental and physical health, but it is these smoke statistics that are the most alarming. They come from Faye Johnston. She's a professor at the University of Tasmania who's been examining some of the statistics coming out of the last summer's bushfires. She says 80% of Australians were impacted by smoke in some way in the last year, and that could have had an economic impact up to $2 billion. But the most concerning has been those health impacts from the smoke on so many people. She said that that did contribute to over 400 deaths.
The results are pretty similar. The vast majority of the impacts were in the eastern states, but we found that there were 445 excess deaths attributable to smoke from these fires, 3,340 admissions to hospital for heart and lung related problems, and 1,373 additional presentations to an emergency department for asthma.
There was also a discussion about the suitability of masks to help with some of those smoke issues, but we've heard that they do need to be replaced quite regularly. And if you have some kind of respiratory issue like asthma, wearing a mask that inhibits your breathing could actually make things worse. The other focus of the Commission this morning has been on mental health and the recovery stages after bushfires. We heard this evidence from Professor Lisa Gibbs, a public health researcher, that it's often actually the recovery period from bushfires that can trigger mental health issues more than surviving the bushfires themselves. And she said that's often due to just how challenging the recovery can be when you've lost your home, trying to find a new sense of normal. There is, unfortunately, a spike in domestic violence issues after bushfires, which we've seen again this year, according to the Commission. And she said it's often just the challenge of trying to get your head in the right space to be able to rebuild your life.
It's when you've got bushfire brain, as people often refer to it. So the trauma fog is not a time when it's easy or sensible to be making serious decisions. I remember hearing the story of a family that were, a car was donated to them, and all they had to do was go to the car yard and pick the colour of the new car. There were 2 colours available. It was beyond them to choose the colour.
Tom, the Commission goes for 2 weeks. It'll focus on a number of things, including impacts on communities and also early look at the climate change impacts as well.